I was wondering, does anyone recognize this lady here in the middle? Who is she? Anyone? Okay. This is Granny Weatherbox. She is my beloved character from the book series called The Discworld by the amazing Sir Terry Pratchett. And Granny can be really, really scary, as you can see. But on the other hand, she has the biggest knowledge and experience from all the witches from the Discworld. So, if you had any really difficult question, especially regarding human nature, she's your go-to person. So, no wonder that one time she was approached by a young witch called Tiffany. And Tiffany asked Granny this question. In stories where the genie or the magic frog or fairy godmother gives you 3 wishes, what is the third wish? To which Granny replied, that's easy. In any story worth the telling that knows about the way of the world, the third wish is the one that undoes the harm the first 2 wishes caused. Simple, right? Because Granny knew perfectly well that what people usually wish for is not what they truly care for. And this brings us to the topic of this presentation, which is be careful what you wish for. In work environment, we quite often hear wishes like this. Oh, I wish we had bigger velocity or bigger predictability. I wish we had fewer defects or that our mean time to repair a defect was shorter. Or I wish our cycle time was shorter. And these are all valid wishes, right? Who wouldn't like to have fewer defects, for example? So it is only natural that when it's the beginning of the year and it's time to set up some yearly goals, managers try quite often to transform some of such wishes into the goals. So how could it look like in those cases? Velocity, let's say, increased by 15%. Predictability, greater or equal to, let's say, 80%, right? Sounds reasonable. Fewer defects. Backlog of defects reduced by 30% by the end of the year. Sounds great. Okay, the next one. Mean time to repair less than 2 weeks. Marvelous. Cycle time reduced by 20%. Sounds great. So now that we have somewhat smart goals, what could go wrong? Well, it turns out a lot. And we will dive into this together in a moment. But first, I need you guys to grab something to write, okay? So if you have your notebooks from yesterday, please take them out. If you don't, you can raise your hand and the swarming team will provide you some stickies and some pens. You could also use your phone if you prefer to, but be prepared to write really fast, okay? So a few more seconds to organize. Because in a moment, we will play a game. Because we already had 2 games yesterday, so why not add another one, right? Okay. Few more seconds. And we will be playing a game called Oops, Something Went Wrong. But first, let me introduce you to the setting in this game. Let's say this is the manager and his team. And the manager has just introduced some metric-based goals similar to those that I just showed you, right, to his team. And he finishes his speech like this. Guys, we have to do something about those metrics. It's so important. Everything depends on it. So now, of course, the team will be dedicated to fixing those metrics, right? So what will they do right now? Probably they'll have some kind of brainstorming meeting, to come up with some really clever ways to do something about those metrics, right? And we will do something pretty similar in the form of a game. We will have 3 rounds, and in each round, we will be looking at a different goal. We'll start with this one, backlog of defects reduced by 30% by the end of the year. What will we do? I'll put 1 minute on the clock, and you'll have to write down as many as you can, really terrible, worst possible ideas this team could come up with to reduce number of defects. And just to be clear about it, I'm looking for something really awful, like let's convert some defects into stories or tasks. This will reduce the number of defects, right? Obviously. Okay, but don't write yet. At the end of every round, I will reveal some of my ideas I had, equally terrible as this one, of course. And for every idea you got similar to one of mine, you score 1 point. But if you have an idea that I didn't have, you score 2 points. Okay? And I know it sounds complicated right now, but don't worry, I will remind you the rules as we go. So yeah, no worries here. Is everyone ready? Yes? Okay. So I'm putting 1 minute on the clock, and you're writing down as many as you can worst possible ideas to reduce number of defects. Ready? Set? Go. Time's up. Okay, guys, I will reveal some of my ideas, and please raise your hand if you had something similar, okay? So the first one, let's just not log defects for now. If some important clients find it, we can add it. Okay, great. So 1 point for you guys. Second one, let's log all of those defects that we have just found into one Jira defect. Yay! Okay, 1 point for you. Let's just close this defect without fixing. We can always reopen it later. Okay, again, 1 point for you. Now, who had something that I didn't put here? What was your idea?
The defect was to automate resolving the problem they cause. And that's also a real case.
Okay. Okay, guys. So unfortunately, we won't have enough time to go through all of your ideas. But anyway, if you had something I didn't put here, you score 2 points for each such idea, okay? Are you ready for round 2? Great. So let's move on. Velocity. Yeah, it shouldn't be used as a goal ever, but still. Velocity increased by 15% by the end of the year. Okay, you know the rules. So I will simply put on 1 minute on the clock, and you will write down as many as you can terrible ideas to increase the velocity. Ready? Set, and go. Okay, time's up. Let's see what I've got here. Overestimate, the simplest resolution, at least for me. Who got this? Cool, you all got 1 point. Next one. Okay, this is a bit tricky. So let's say we just finished working on this task and it's closed. And we compare. Was it more difficult than we thought? If yes, definitely re-estimate, put in the higher value. Was it easier than we thought? Do not re-estimate. Let's leave the higher value. Okay, did you have something like this? Great, 1 point for you. And last one for me. Let's start creating tasks for reading emails and going for the meetings. This will definitely increase our velocity. Yeah, so if you got this, again, 1 point for you. What other ideas did you have, guys? Yes? Oh, nice one. I haven't thought about this. Okay.
Maybe creating problems on purpose?
This is ingenious. Okay.
Let's stop the code review.
Nice. It will be faster then. Okay. Great, guys. Okay, so for each idea you had but I didn't, you scored 2 points. Okay? And it's time for the final round. This time, we're looking at this goal. Predictability greater or equal to 80%. And just to make sure we're aligned on the predictably, what does it mean? So if at the beginning of the sprint you say, let's say 30 story points as a forecast, right? We'll deliver 30 story points. And at the end of the sprint, you delivered only 15. What was your predictability? 50%, yes. So it's basically how good are we in predicting how much can we deliver in this sprint, okay? So after this introduction, I will once more put 1 minute on the clock, and you will write down as many as you can. You know the rest, right? Worst possible ideas. Ready, set, go. And the time is up. Okay, let me reveal some ideas. At the end of the sprint, let's just close the task that didn't fit and open duplicate or part 2 for the next sprint. Did you have this? Okay, if you did, 1 point for you. Let's have a 50% buffer, or basically way too big buffer that we actually need. Okay, if you got this, again, 1 point for you. And the last one, this task is big and risky. Let's do it under the table without putting it in any sprint. And let's add it to the sprint when it's almost done. It won't, spill to the next sprint then, yeah, right? So did you have something like this? Oh, some people did. Great. Okay, 1 point for you. What other ideas did you have? Nice one. Fake user stories, yes?
Extend the sprint to finish all the tasks.
Okay, so flexible sprints. Yep. Nice one. What other ideas did you got?
Reduce sprint backlog in the middle of the sprint.
Wow, nice one. Okay, guys, so again, 2 points for you if you had some ideas that I didn't have. 2 points for every idea, of course. And now it's time to reveal the winner. So could you please count down your points quite briefly? Luckily, it's just adding 1s and 2s, so it won't consume much time, hopefully. Okay, did you count your points? Yes, cool. So who got 15 points or more? Great. 20 points or more? One person? Wow, this is truly amazing. I didn't think that anyone will get as many points as you did. So congratulations. This is your reward. This was great fun, at least for me. But of course, this was just a game, right? We know it's a very big exaggeration. But I believe we just proved the point that if you have metric-based goals, this is so easy to shift the focus from what we should really care for to the metric itself. So what should we do to avoid such situations? Personally, I believe that yes, we should have some metrics, but we should rather focus on observing what's going on and using them only as additional source of information. And I believe good comparison for this situation would be the pilot's cockpit. This person has so many metrics, available, right? So many indicators. But to a good pilot, this is never a goal to have a certain metric on a given value. No. To him, the goal is to arrive safely to a given destination. So what he does, he observes what's going on. He checks his metrics, definitely. So he inspects and adapts if needed. And I believe this is precisely what we should do. Observe what's going on, how the teams are working, how the organization is working. Check your metrics as a source of inspiration for hypotheses, for experiments. Inspect and adapt to make sure that we achieve our true goal, which should be delivering value to our customers effectively. But if you somehow find you in a situation when you really have to set up some metric-based goal, just make sure you remember Granny Weatherbox and ask yourself a question. Does this metric really represent what you really care the most for? Is it really what you wish for? Thank you very much.